Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on Method CRM. I'm glad that everybody can join us today. I'd like to welcome everybody. Just a couple of housekeeping items while we're still waiting for a couple people to attend. I can see that here. This is going to be Method CRM demonstration here today, and there's myself, Val, and Errol is going to be joining us as well. The objective today is to provide a quick overview of Method CRM so you get the most out of your Method trial. So welcome to Method, and we hope that you are enjoying your trial so far. We're going to be focusing on a few key areas: the dashboard, context leads, logging customer activities, and managing your sales pipe. We do want to keep this session interactive, so we will be having a Q&A session at the end. So feel free to, for those of you who are using GoToWebinar for the first time, there will be a question area of the panel on the right-hand side there, and I will be reading some of the questions and making sure that they get answered. And if they can't all get answered in this webinar, then we'll be sure to send those responses to you. So please take advantage of that questions area of the panel on the GoToWebinar gadget there on the right-hand side of your screen, especially near the end of today's short presentation. So when we're taking a look at the dashboard, we wanted to make sure that when you log into Method, you have a nice orientation in terms of the Method dashboard. This is kind of your home base for Method, right? So when you first log in, you're going to see your Method dashboard. It's an essential area to navigating around Method, and it provides a lot of information. It's split up into a couple of areas. So one of them is a central area where you provide all of your Method apps and the details of these individual apps. This area can also be personalized to help you get a little bit more organized, and we're going to talk and show examples of that. And then you have your left menu, which is essentially a shortcut to access apps from other areas of Method, and then the right menu from the dashboard, which is more of your account-based options, preferences, subscriptions, and those kinds of things. So in terms of making it a little bit more personal and organized for you, we do have some options that will allow you to do this, and it's really talking about organizing your apps, so being able to move and reorder them in a way that is more conducive to your workflow, becoming a little bit more focused by perhaps collapsing or marking certain apps as favorites and others as less frequently used, and then of course adding some color to the individual tiles to help you get a little bit more coordinated in terms of what could be more priority. Maybe you're grouping things together by color as well, and we'll talk about that inside of the Method product. So here we're inside of a Method account, and we're going to take a look at the main area here. So this is the central area of the dashboard, and as you can see, as a user, when I log in, I have access to various apps inside of my Method account. Now, these apps will all have names and little descriptions that will make sure that you understand what the purpose of those apps are. But on the left-hand side, we also have a left navigation or a left menu, and this is really an area if you're ever inside of one of those apps or working around in Method and you ever want to get back to the dashboard, you can just very quickly hit the dashboard icon on the left menu, and it will always bring you back to this dashboard. Beneath the dashboard, you'll have the same access here on the left-hand side as you do to the apps that are currently on your dashboard. So this is really nice if you're ever jumping into one of these apps, for example, the Contacts app, and you ever want to get back to the dashboard or get to another app really quickly, you can very quickly navigate from there. On the right-hand side, and for those of you who are seeing the GoToWebinar panel or the little widget on the right-hand side, please, I encourage you to minimize it all the way to the right portion of your screen, because we are going to be talking about a little feature that's on the right-hand side. Up at the top, there's a little gear here, and this is really the menu where you have preferences, subscriptions, and then if you have multiple Method accounts, you'd be able to switch between the accounts in this area here. So these are all areas that you can click into and dive into. And again, they're more account and subscription-based areas. Yeah. So in terms of these apps here and the different features that we can take advantage of and to organize and personalize the experience, we can see here that all of these app tiles have a little vertical card context menu here. So when we click it, it'll give us three options. Well, the first is the ability to move. So if we ever wanted to rearrange these apps, if you click that there, it puts the entire dashboard in a state where you can move things around. So for example, if I wanted to move my estimates to the right-hand side over here, because that's kind of where I would expect to see it perhaps as a user, we can really rearrange all these things, and when you're done, you can just hit finish in the top right or bottom right of the screen, and it'll lock those features in. The other thing that you can do is you can add some color. So each of these app tiles can have some color. And of course, if we just make some really quick changes to these things, again, you can group however you'd like. If you want to make QuickBooks transactions or anything related to payments, maybe green because of money, you can do that as well, or red for immediate attention. And then finally, we do have various apps here that are kind of fully exposed, but if we scroll down just a little bit, maybe you're going to have a few apps that you need access to periodically, but not very frequently. So this is our items apps, and these are the products and services that the company buys and sells. So this is syncing with your QuickBooks list of products and services. And as a user, perhaps I do need the access to this and be able to see those various items, products, services, but I may not be interacting with that app at all times. So what I can do is I can just mark it as non-favorite or less frequently used. And by removing that star, what it'll actually do is collapse it to the bottom, right? So you still have access to the apps. You can still click them and move them and open that menu back up and remark it as a favorite at a later date, but you can also use them directly from there, and it just cleans up the top portion of your dashboard. So it's a little bit about the dashboard. The next area that we're going to jump into is customers and leads. So a good CRM will provide you the ability to organize and manage relationships with your contacts, right? So we're not only talking about the QuickBooks environment and accounting environment here, but we're taking it a step further and syncing and reading that information, but really talking about the interactions, the relationship management. And with Method CRM, we not only provide a seamless sync with accounting, so we actually take all the customers and different various contacts that belong in accounting and sync back and forth bi-directional real time with them, but we also allow you to manage additional contacts underneath those customers, underneath those vendors inside of your CRM. And of course, just as important, we allow you to manage your relationship with potential customers. And these are customer leads and keeping them outside of your QuickBooks accounting software until there's an accounting reason for them to hit QuickBooks. Particularly important for QuickBooks Online users. We know that it is I would almost like to say next to impossible to completely remove a client once they've made their way into QuickBooks Online. Perhaps you can make them inactive, but it's difficult to fully remove them if at all. So being able to manage the relationship up until they are a customer comes a great way. And then of course, we allow you to view all the information for a contact on one screen. So we're actually pulling in your accounting and your CRM and any other information in one area. Particularly useful for QuickBooks Desktop users, perhaps that might not have access to the machine where QuickBooks Desktop is on, or even QuickBooks Online users in terms of, again, having to sign in, sign out. Maybe you don't have access to QuickBooks. We actually provide you with a lot of that information inside of Method. So in order to demonstrate this, we're just going to go ahead and click on the Contacts app. This will bring us to our contacts list. So this is our list of contacts here inside of Method. And we can see quite the list that we have here. You may recognize some of those names. During the lists views here, I just wanted to point out that there's also different views, right? So all these lists have different views of the information. So this one here is showing us all the active customers and leads that we have access to, right? And then of course, if you have some that are assigned to you, you would be able to filter those out appropriately. On the right-hand side, we also have searching capabilities, so you can literally just type in, Chris, for example, and hit enter, and it would find the contacts that have Chris in their name. But you also have an advanced search option as well. So that's kind of a hidden gem. For those of you who want to take a look at it, there is an advanced search as well. So we're just going to go ahead and clear that out and show all of our contacts again. We're going to dive right into one of the contacts, and we're just going to pick the first in the list, Amy Smith. And this should take us to her profile. So the first thing that we should see is a complete view of Amy and any of the information that we have access to see about Amy. Now, the nice thing, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, was this is really your one stop for information about Amy. We can see previous interactions with Amy. So that's a little bit of the CRM information very quickly here. If I look at some interactions with her, I can see some of those notes and, take a look at those details. We can take a look at some of the estimate information here, invoices, for example. So again, that's some of the accounting stuff that we have on file for Amy and would actually appear in QuickBooks Desktop or online, depending on which one you're working with. Payments. So we can really see a lot of information here for Amy. And one hidden gem that I'd like to point out is Amy is our customer that is syncing in this example today in today's webinar with QuickBooks Online. We also work with QuickBooks Desktop, but we also see that there's some related contacts. So we can actually see that underneath the single customer that is syncing to QuickBooks, we can have additional contacts that we manage on the method side, which is really powerful because that way you can actually manage your interactions with those individual people. So a lot of good information here in terms of tracking information about your contacts and vendors and etc. So the next area we're going to focus on is logging customer or customer lead interactions. Again, a really good CRM allows you to keep records of activities with your contacts. And the best way to do this is to provide one record or one entry per interaction. So what that really means is if a phone call comes in, you're able to log that phone call, the date, time, who it was that you spoke to. And the next time that you have a phone call or send an email, that is a separate log or a separate interaction. We find here at Method too many times that especially QuickBooks users, they will try to, and those that are not using a proper CRM, will try to merge all their interactions into a single box. Maybe it's the customer notes box. And we find that, they'll put down, March 15th, phone call with Amy, and they'll type some notes about that phone call. The next day or a few days later, they'll have another phone call, and then they'll just hit the return key on the keyboard and, March 16th, and then they'll put the notes there. And what that doesn't allow you to do is some of the things that a proper CRM provides, which is easily being able to search and filter. So you can see things on a calendar, you can see a view of the activity, take a look at a schedule for the day, but search and filter by status and type. So show me the phone calls or show me the ones that are not started yet versus the ones that are completed. So if you're going back historically or if you want to see the ones that are going to happen in the future, these are the things that you can do here in Method if you are logging interactions using a proper CRM. And then on the bonus, it actually allows users to set reminders and follow-ups, right? So the CRM will actually notify you of upcoming appointments and make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. So if you promise to, send a customer a follow-up, it will remind you to send that customer or that contact a follow-up, which is really, really great. So we're going to jump into the product. And let's go ahead here and we'll stick with Amy. Now, one of the things that we see here about Amy is we again see some information here, but in my example, so I'm going to use two primary examples today, and this will be the first. The company that I'm dealing with here is a bike shop. So we provide basic services to bicycles, and those could be bike tune-ups. They could be other things like repairs, and also just some basic parts. And then on the flip side, we actually sell custom bikes. So basic services, and then of course selling some custom bikes. So in our first scenario, we're going to have one of our contacts, a customer from the past that had maybe purchased a bike from us in the past, call in and to just get a quick inquiry in terms of what would it take for some kind of a repair or a bike tune-up. So and using a proper CRM, we would be looking at Amy's profile. We would see some quick history from her, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit new, and we are going to log a new interaction for Amy. So in this interaction, perhaps we can put down some notes. Amy called in and was looking at a quote for a bike tune-up. Okay? And these notes can be as detailed or as short as you'd like. And you're going to notice that you're creating a new activity for Amy. Here's the notes. Because we were already looking at Amy's profile, it pre-filled in a lot of the information for us so that it's for Amy. This assign to is just simply saying, who is the method user that is currently logging this interaction, right? So when we go back and people are looking historically, we can see that Amy had a phone call or whatever it was with myself. And speaking of the activity types, well, it's not going to be a meeting, it's going to be a quick phone call. So Amy actually called us, so we can actually mark it as a phone call incoming. And this list, by the way, of activity or interaction types is completely customizable. So you can tailor it to what suits your business just by clicking this little link here for new or edit, and it'll allow you to add new or edit existing activity types. Notice when we marked it as an incoming phone call, it changed the status to complete, and then there's the date and time when perhaps we started the phone call. Really, really nice, quick notes, perfect way to track an interaction as one entry. Now, we are going to send Amy an estimate. So we're actually going to go ahead and create an estimate and fire it off to her. But in the event that she receives that estimate, but she doesn't actually call us back, it's best practice to always schedule a quick follow-up. So my company always encourages our team to schedule a quick follow-up, which will remind us to follow up with that same contact. We can set the reminder for myself again, or somebody else in the company if it's more applicable to somebody else. And we're going to simply say, if we haven't heard from Amy, we are going to call her. It hasn't been started yet. And by default, it's going to be a week out. That sounds good. I mean, it's just something very simple. So we will leave it to a week out. And by clicking save, we have logged the interaction for the phone call and her inquiry on a bike tune-up. And if we don't hear from her, at least the system will notify us in about a week's time to call Amy and make sure that we are following up with that potential business. And we can see here that the number of interactions has went up, and if we were to click it, we would see those details. Now, what we're going to do next is, we've done a great job so far, log the phone call, we have scheduled a follow-up so the system will remind us. We're going to go ahead and create an estimate. So let's go over here and we are going to create an estimate. And this will take us to the estimate screen. So we are creating this estimate inside of Method, right? So there again is Amy, and we can see some information here. If we were to open up the details section, this is the information we have on file for Amy in terms of billing, shipping, address, obviously a date for the particular transaction. But we're going to hide that. What we want to do next is we want to create an estimate. We need to add an item. So this is the products or services that we are quoting for. So this items list here, this is your products and services or your items list that is coming from QuickBooks. So we do get the question, how is this list populated? It is syncing in real time with what is coming from QuickBooks. So whether you're QuickBooks Online or desktop, we will see that information. And let's go ahead here and use the bike tune-up, and it will pull the information that we have on file for that item from Method and QuickBooks. And let's just go ahead and hit save. So we don't need to add another item to this estimate. It's just a very, very quick, what's the cost of a bike tune-up? And we're going to put in a little note here saying, please contact for details. Or please contact to schedule, or whatever you want to put in that customer message. And all we're going to do now is we're just simply going to hit the little email button. So down at the bottom, we can save it, we can print it. We're going to go ahead and hit email. And what that's going to do is, if the customer has an email address on file, it will actually send off an email to that customer. And we can actually see here that 2 emails were sent. And I'm going to explain why those 2 emails were sent. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to QuickBooks Online. We are going to go, so we're switching gears here. This is the QuickBooks Online account that Method account is working with. And it's a sample file. And we're going to go over to Amy Smith. And we're going to look at March the 16th, which is today's estimate. And we're going to open it up. And we can actually see here, there's Amy, there's the bike tune-up, and there's the message that we had written, please contact us for details. So we can see that the integration with QuickBooks, and for QuickBooks Desktop, it would be the exact same, is very seamless. All we had to do was just hit save, and Method automatically understands what has a place in QuickBooks and what does not. So really, really seamless sync. But there's a little bit more that happened behind the scenes on the Method side. So let's go over here, and you're going to notice some additional tabs in my browser. I am now going to flip gears again and pretend to be the customer. So I am now Amy receiving this email. So the email came from this gentleman named Valbon, and here it is. This is one of the templates that Method sends out. And Amy is actually able to click a link and get a PDF or a version of that estimate to kind of see and interact with. So really, really seamless integration with QuickBooks, and also nice communication to the customer happening at the same time. Okay. And that's it. I mean, in that particular example, we can see that it was a good ability for us to log that interaction. We have all the details in our system, and everybody who goes to Amy's profile can see the interactions that we've had with her to date. Now, I did want to mention why there was 2 emails that were sent out, so I'm going to jump back into contacts. Here we have that contacts list, and there is Amy. And I'm just going to go ahead and open up Amy so we can actually see the related contact here. And it's Philip Chong. So the email actually went out to both Amy and the additional contact because those are the preferences of that contact. They have been set up to both receive these kinds of notifications from the company. All right, great. So the next area that we're going to look at is taking a look at the managing your sales pipe. So again, same bike scenario. And what we're going to do here is we are actually going to talk about managing your sales pipe. So this sales pipe and these sales opportunities is really all about your potential revenue, your potential sales deals that are happening, right? A good CRM allows collaboration with sales teams. You can assign these sales opportunities or the interactions related to them to other members of the team. So if you have a couple people in your company that are working on these things and they're involved at different stages, they can all kind of keep their eyes on this and all complete the interactions that are necessary to hopefully win that deal. So we're going to jump right in. And we're going to be really focusing on the opportunities area here. So this is the opportunities app inside of Method, and we can see here that we have several opportunities or several sales deals. Some of them are already won, some of them are in the proposal or price quoting stage, maybe needs analysis stage. And remember, the concept here is for the second part of the business, which is we also sell custom bikes. So what we want to do is we want to create a new opportunity. In this scenario, we are going to receive a phone call from a potential customer named Justin. And Justin is going to be contacting us for the first time, and he has perhaps heard about us from a friend of his, and he heard about all the great things that we're doing with custom bikes, and he is interested in purchasing a custom racing bike. So with that being said, we can actually put down in the opportunity name racing bike because that's what we are trying to sell to this potential customer, or it could have been an existing customer coming back and wanting a second bike. But in this case, it is somebody who has never contacted us before. And we know they haven't contacted us because if we're looking at the contacts list and we're searching for Justin or a partial name, we aren't going to find any results. So what we're going to have to do instead is we're going to have to create a new contact. So while we're on the phone with Justin, yes, we understand that he's interested in a racing bike, but we also want to capture his contact information. So we're going to put down Justin, the initial is B. Perhaps we are going to put down the email address for Justin, so JBEIBS01 at gmail.com. 555-123-4545. Whoops. So just some really basic information in terms of name, email, contact phone number, and etc. If we had any social media or any kind of a tag, we could apply those as well. And these tags are really, if you're familiar with kind of Gmail and labels, it's the same concept. It's a way to tag or help categorize your contacts. So maybe Justin is a celebrity, so we can tag him as a celebrity because our company deals with a lot of celebrities. And down here at the bottom, we are going to see some options in terms of what kind of contact Justin is. So we could create a new customer, which we don't want to do because technically he's not a customer just yet. And creating Justin as a new customer would immediately send him to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, right? So we don't want to do that quite yet. Creating a new lead is the preferred method in this scenario because we are able to treat Justin as a potential customer, which is what he is, hold him on the method side until there's actually an accounting reason for him to go to QuickBooks. So this is good enough for us. All we're going to do is we're going to hit save. The nice thing here is now Method has saved Justin as a lead. He has not been sent to QuickBooks just yet, and it brings us back to the opportunity. So we can put in a short description here, custom racing bike. Now, keep in mind that the close date and the amount and a few other things will definitely be updated regularly as you progress the opportunities. So these are the opportunity stages: prospecting, qualifying, needs analysis. And this is really the reason why we are choosing to track this custom bike as an opportunity and not the previous example of that very quick, I'm interested in a bike tune-up from Amy. This custom bike actually goes through various stages, right? So you have to kind of get some needs analysis, you have to make a decision, you have to maybe start building it. And these stages here are the ones that we provide, but again, you can modify or create new ones or remove the ones that you don't like. Now, we're going to keep it at prospecting for now, and currently it's assigned to me. And again, we can tag opportunities, so we can apply different tags. This is a racing bike, so we'll tag it as racing. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and hit save. And this is really nice because we've created that opportunity and a few things happen behind the scenes. Notice how we have two activities for Justin, right? So if we open up this activities area here, we actually have one that was completed. So a new opportunity was created, and we could have put in some notes there if we wanted to, which would have been, a good practice. And then we also have a follow-up that was automatically created for us as well. So you always want to make sure that you're logging these activities with notes, if applicable, and having the system or manually creating follow-ups. But in the case of creating a new opportunity, if you do not create one, our system will create one for you automatically because we assume that it's not done until it's marked as a win or a successful sale. So that's a couple things there. Now, not only do we want to track this opportunity, so here we see a couple of activities. We see that Justin now has one sales opportunity, in progress. But what if we wanted to do a little bit more? What if we wanted to send Justin a very quick email giving him our contact information? So thankfully, inside of Method, we have an entire suite of additional apps and other ways that we can communicate with customers. And one of them is the Send Email app. So it's currently from my view down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and click Send Email right from that app tile. And this will take us into the app that allows us to send emails. Now, yes, Method can send outbound emails. And what we're going to do is we are going to select the contact that we want to send the email to. So I can scroll or search, and there's Justin. And we do have email templates that you could use, but more importantly, you can create your own email template. So if this is a kind of email that you are sending frequently for contact purposes, you may want to automate that experience, at least for yourself, to automatically send that email out by choosing a template that'll pre-fill their first name and who it's sending it to, and a nice little subject and email body as well. But we're not going to use a template. We are just simply going to select blank, and we are going to start to fill in the subject and manually write in the email. Hey Justin, here is my contact info. Okay. And we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to notice, and I'm going to point out one checkbox here, which is create an activity on send. So when we do send this email by clicking the send button, it's also going to log that as an activity because we have indicated that is what we want to do. So we're creating another activity that is going to be linked to Justin. By default, we will put in the comments here saying email sent, so it's not going to be an empty email, at least not the notes regarding the email, sorry. But if we wanted to change it, we can actually put down email sent regarding contact info. So we can personalize it just a little bit. And then all we have to do is just go ahead and hit complete. So the email is already fired off, but what we've done is we have now went through and we have simply added another interaction. So if anybody was following along, there's Justin. We can take a look at the history, and the history should now have a third interaction. And we can actually see email outgoing, it was completed. So let's go ahead here and open that up. And if I was somebody who was just taking a look at this, we can see it was assigned to myself. So there's who sent the email, right? And we can see the contents of the email that was sent out right inside of Method as well, which is very, very great. Now, we are approaching near the end of the demonstration here, but a couple more pieces that I wanted to point out. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I also want to kind of talk about that interaction with QuickBooks just a little bit more. So once Justin receives this email, here's the email that Justin would have received. Let's just go refresh. So again, I'm pretending to be the contact who receives the email here. And that's how Justin would receive it, just like a normal email. Imagine that we were to cheat a little bit and fast forward this opportunity to a win. So of course, we would never sell a custom bike this quickly, but what I'm going to do is cheat just a little bit. So I'm going to open up this opportunity for Justin, and I am going to mark it as a win. So we are going to jump straight from prospecting, and we are going to go all the way to this opportunity is closed and won. And I am going to, and notice how it changes the date. So the date of the opportunity is reflecting now the close date instead of the end of the month. The probability has also increased to 100% because when you win something, it's 100%. And we're just going to go ahead and hit save. Very important message that comes up. Method is smart enough to realize that Justin is not in QuickBooks yet. He is in Method as a potential customer, aka a lead. And I'm going to show everybody QuickBooks customer list here. Just to be absolutely sure, it's a short list, it's a sample file. We actually do not see Justin here in this list. Now on the method side, it's saying, do you want to convert? So we're going to go ahead and say yes. Now you want to be sure because there's no clean way to undo that process. I mean, clicking yes is going to convert Justin from a lead to a customer in method, but that also means that if we were to go to our QuickBooks customer list and just refresh here, we will see Justin inside of our QuickBooks customer list, along with the transactions that are applicable. So again, cheating just a little bit, but we can really see that the opportunity management and sales pipe management on the method side still works with QuickBooks when needed, which is really great. And in addition to that, it's always useful on these app tiles. These card contexts or the menus here from the top right corner per tile, depending on what app you are clicking on, will have additional features like charts. So this is a really clean way for us to take a look at sales pipeline charts. So if we wanted to take a look at the leader dashboard or opportunity amount by user, we can see that Errol has 210 in the pipe, whereas I have 420. And if we were to click on any one of these portions of the graph, we would actually see the material in terms of the sales opportunity or the content that makes up that portion of the graph. We also have additional sections, which is important. So these are 3 charts for opportunities. If we're taking a look at the section about won opportunities, what's our conversion ratio? Closed by source type, so again, where these opportunities are coming from. And then of course you have average deal by the size of the user, and then of course you have additional charts for activities. Okay? So you definitely want to take a look at these charts, and we can see here meetings, other phone calls outgoing. We can actually see how much effort is being required from our staff to win these opportunities. And again, all fully clickable, and we can see all the meetings that were involved in selling bikes in this example. And up at the top, you can see that information for a specific date range. So some really, really good resources here in terms of managing your sales pipe and as well as taking a look at these in a visual format. And in terms of the demonstration portion, I mean, that is all we had planned for today. I want to highlight the link here. This is a link to our Method Help Center. This is where and I will show this link in just a moment, but I want to leave it up for everyone to write down. This is a link where you can get additional resources on Method CRM, specifically all the apps, setup, apps, users, permissions, subscriptions. It is all there for you. So I will come back to this link in a moment. But essentially, and you can find it from our website as well, this is what you will be going into, and you will have your apps and packs. And if you want to take a look, for example, at your sales pipeline and take a look at more about opportunities, they are short, clean articles. They will usually have, in most cases, a video near the top, 2 to 3 minutes, followed by some additional resources per app. So what I mean by per app is there are a lot of apps that we were not able to cover today. If you were looking at those apps or using those, by all means, please take advantage of that information from our help center. And this is the link to that. Now, while we're on that topic, I'm going to open up the floor to questions and see if there are any questions that came up here.